Annie was a familiar sight on the bustling streets of Lagos. Every morning, she'd set up her small roadside stand, carefully arranging trays of puff puff, the golden, round snacks that melted in your mouth with every bite. The aroma of freshly fried dough wafted through the air, drawing a steady stream of customers who swore her puff puff was the best in the city. Her puff puff wasn't just food, it was an experience, and he had a way of making each piece with care, ensuring they were just the right size, fluffy on the inside and crispy on the outside. Her stand was always spotless, the oil fresh and clear. It was no surprise that people lined up for her snacks, choosing her over the many other sellers on the street. "Annie, your puff puff is magical," one regular customer said, biting into a warm piece. "It's sweet, clean, and always perfect." Annie would smile shyly at the compliments, her chubby cheeks glowing with warmth. Though she was beautiful, with smooth caramel skin and a radiant smile, she rarely believed the kind words. Her boyfriend Paul had seen to that. Paul was a tall, smooth-talking man who never missed an opportunity to belittle Annie. He'd roll his eyes when she talked about her dreams and mock her whenever she expressed pride in her work. "It's just puff puff," he'd sneer. "Don't start thinking you're something special." But Annie's puff puff business was more than just a means to survive. It was her passion. The money she made went toward keeping her stand running, paying bills, and even helping Paul out whenever he came asking. And he often did. Paul would take her hard-earned money and disappear for hours, sometimes days, only to return smelling of perfume that wasn't hers. Annie knew deep down that Paul didn't treat her right, but she clung to him, afraid she wasn't worthy of better. His words had sunk deep into her soul, making her question her worth. One day, as Annie was frying a fresh batch of puff puff, a man approached her stand. He was dressed simply but neatly, with an easy smile and kind eyes. "Good morning, madam," he greeted her. "I've heard your puff puff is the best in Lagos. Can I try some?" Annie smiled nervously. "Yes, sir. How many do you want?" "Let's start with 5, he said, handing her some money. "And call me Tunde." "No need for sir." Tunde bit into the puff puff and closed his eyes. "Wow, this is amazing. You've got a gift, Annie." Annie blushed. "Thank you. It's just puff puff, nothing special." Tunde frowned. "Don't say that. Do you know how much money people spend just to make snacks this good? You've got something special here. You should be proud." His words stayed with her long after he left. Tunde became a regular at her stand, showing up every few days to buy puff puff and chat. He'd ask her about her business, her dreams, and her life. Annie found herself opening up to him in a way she never had with anyone before. Paul, however, wasn't happy about Tunde's frequent visits. One evening, after Annie handed him some money, he scowled at her. "Who's that man you're always talking to?" he demanded. "Just a customer," Annie replied, avoiding his gaze. "Stay away from him," Paul snapped. "You don't need to be talking to other men. Do you want to start sleeping around now?" Annie nodded, but something inside her stirred. Why did Paul get to dictate who she spoke to, especially when all he did was take from her and make her feel small? Tunde continued to visit, and each time, he brought more than just kind words. He'd offer suggestions to improve her business, like packaging her puff puff in small, branded bags or trying new flavors. One day, he brought her a book on small business management. "You've got potential, Annie," he told her. "Don't let anyone tell you otherwise." Slowly but surely, Annie began to change. She started experimenting with her puff puff recipes, adding a hint of nutmeg to some and coconut flakes to others, creating different and unique recipe of her own. Her stand became even more popular, with people raving about the new flavors. She also began saving more of her earnings instead of handing them all to Paul. Paul noticed the change and grew angrier by the day. One evening, after seeing Annie laughing with Tunde, he confronted her. "Didn't I tell you to stay away from him?" he shouted. "Paul, he's just a customer," Annie said, her voice steady. "And he respects me more than you ever have." Paul's face darkened. "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means I'm done letting you treat me like I'm nothing," Annie said, her voice firm. I work hard every day, and I deserve to be with someone who sees my worth. Paul stormed off thinking she will come back to beg him, leaving Annie standing by her stand, her heart racing. For the first time, she felt a spark of freedom. With Tunde's encouragement, Annie's business continued to grow. She saved enough to rent a small shop, where she expanded her menu to include buns, egg roll, meat pie, and even drinks. Customers poured in, thrilled to see her thriving. As for Tunde, he remained a constant presence in her life. Over time, their friendship deepened, and Annie realized she had found someone who truly valued her for who she was. One evening, as they stood outside her new shop, Tunde turned to her. Annie, you're incredible. I'd be honored to walk this journey with you if you'll have me. Annie smiled, tears in her eyes. For the first time, she believed she was worthy of love, the kind of love that built her up instead of tearing her down. And so, Annie's story became more than just about Puff Puff. It was about resilience, self-worth, and the sweet, golden rewards of believing in herself. Subscribe for more videos like this.
Please remember to subscribe to this channel and give my video a thumbs up. And I'll see you in my next video soon. Thank you.